time to take a look at our Sonic Showdown. It might be better termed, though, the Sonic Shutdown, because that's what Memphis is going to try to do defensively tonight.
Well, Memphis really brings a lot of pressure in the full court. They've got 4 different full court presses. They want to get 40 deflections in a game and 3 consecutive stops, but do it 7 different times in a game. And on the other end, they're going to give some openings if they press to the outstanding shooters, especially Phil Forte and Markel Brown. Both of them can fill it up. They have 12 threes a game early this season.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups. First of all, for the visiting Memphis Tigers, as good as Joe Jackson, Michael Dixon are going to be in the backcourt this year. A lot on the shoulders of the sophomore Shaq Goodwin.
Well, it may be decided by the inside guys, and Shaq Goodwin has really transformed his body. He's now playing above the rim. He's the top rebounder, can really go to the offensive glass.
Another former McDonald's All-American has to have a big role in the front court for Oklahoma State. That's LeBron Nash.
Well, LeBron Nash at 6'7" is a real matchup problem. He can play out of the perimeter. He can really drive the ball, and an excellent rebounder. How he rebounds could wind up determining how well Oklahoma State plays in this one.
The 5th year on the sidelines at Memphis for Josh Pastner as the head coach. And you might notice on that lapel there on the left side of his jacket, he is wired tonight, so we'll be taking a peek inside that Memphis huddle from time to time tonight. See what Josh Pastner has to say. And Travis Ford, last year, led the Cowboys to a 24-9 finish, but a disappointing end to their season as they lost their opening round game in the NCAA tournament to Oregon. James Breeding, Raina Tilley, and Rick Randall are officials, and we are underway in one of the best atmospheres in college basketball.
And right away, Memphis starts out man-to-man. Travis Ford was telling his team, rely on your offense, don't improvise. And right away, Jaren Johnson looked like he picked up a foul.
The foul will actually go against Austin Nichols on the drive by Marcus Smart. Nichols was number 37 in our ESPN Top 100 players, the freshman from Collierville, Tennessee.
It's going to be a real challenge in this atmosphere. He's got to play one-on-one against Cobbins in the post, the lefty.
Cobbins comes up short. Strong rebound in traffic by Jaren Johnson, but he turns it over.
Well, Jaren Johnson had 10 rebounds against Austin Peay. An outstanding guard rebounder, and when he gets the ball, he is going to tear down the court and just bust out on his own to start the break.
Markel Brown, old school floater, just bounces off the rim, and it's run down in the corner by Michael Dixon Jr.
4 senior guards for this Memphis team, and they can really take you off the bounce. A lot of ball screens. They want to try to get into the paint and make something happen.
A near steal by Brian Williams. Good recovery by the Cowboys. 12 to shoot. Goodwin muscles one up and scores the game's first points.
But what a strong move by Shaq Goodwin inside. If they can get some production inside and throw the ball in, they like to go a lot of high-low. That'll really open some things up for their guards on the perimeter.
Smart shot blocked in the corner. The break for Memphis and the reverse by Dixon.
Well, what a play by Jaren Johnson and a great finish by Dixon. This is the way Memphis wanted to get off on the road in a tough environment.
Markel Brown gets the shooter's bounce. This must be his home floor.
You're not going to find a better mid-range jump shooter in the country than Markel Brown, and he can really rise. One of the best athletes in America.
Dixon off the mark. Both coaches mentioned to us earlier today that they thought they were going to learn a lot about their teams tonight.
Well, how could you help it? I mean, for Memphis coming into this environment this early in the season, they've already scrimmaged Baylor in a closed-door scrimmage. And Oklahoma State has not yet been tested. This is the biggest test they're going to have.
Marcus Smart, what a spin move, and a finish by the preseason Big 12 Player of the Year.
Looked like Cam Newton in the open field last night on Monday Night Football.
Dixon, straightaway three won't go. Smart, he feels his shot is very much improved. He'll have a chance to prove it now at the free throw line. A 4-point play chance for Oklahoma State.
In transition, this is like standing in traffic and trying to get in the way of a New York City cab. This is one strong player. It's not like he's going against a little kid. Jaron Johnson is a big, strong performer, and this is a play that last year I don't think Marcus Smart would have made. He wouldn't have pulled up from that level and taken that shot. He would have tried to bull his way all the way to the basket.
Foul called on Jaron Johnson as Marcus Smart completes a 4-point play.
He is just a complete basketball player, and if he can start to knock down that perimeter shot, that's really the weakness that he's had, is his perimeter shooting. The 1-4 set right now that goes into a dribble handoff.
LeBron Nash lost it. Shaq Goodwin with the steal. Good defense by Marcus Smart to shut down the driving lane as Jackson has to back it back out.
Moved his feet, kept his hands off.
And Goodwin, though, slipping through traffic, draws the foul. That will be on Markel Brown.
Goodwin's really made some quick moves when he's gotten the ball. First in the low post when he hit that little over the shoulder. He sort of slips the screen to the free throw line, then makes a quick move once he gets the ball right to the rim.
You mentioned the work that he's done in the weight room. I'm talking to Josh Pastner earlier today. He said last year as a freshman he played at the rim. Now he feels this year he'll play above the rim.
And his stamina is so much better. He's getting up and down the floor. He's able to play extended minutes. He's just got to play without fouling. That's a real challenge for both he and Austin Nichols. And already early in this game, Josh Pastner going with a 4-guard lineup. So rebounding is at a premium. That means all 5 guys have to go to the glass, but especially Shaq Goodwin.
Are they playing bingo on the sideline?
Well, with all the seniors, bingo would make some sense. Who has 4 seniors outside of a retirement home? Only Memphis.
Smart mid-range jumper, air ball. It looked like Johnson may have gotten a piece. Trying to go rim to rim, Michael Dixon, and he draws the foul. Marcus Smart immediately signals that he's the guilty party. Check that Michael Cobbins called for the foul.
Well, Cobbins was there. Had he gone straight up, that would have been a difficult finish for Michael Dixon over the long arms of Michael Cobbins, who's an outstanding shot blocker, averages over 1.5 blocks a game for his career, but he brought that arm down, and when you bring it down, that's when a foul is going to be called.
Well, it's been a roller coaster for Michael Dixon Jr. Sees the transfer from Missouri. Last season he was suspended for the first 6 games, only to leave the school after 2 sexual assault allegations became public. Now, no charges were ever filed, so when he took his case before the NCAA, they used the Des Wells to Maryland case as a precedent, and because charges were never filed, just as in the Des Wells case, he was granted immediate eligibility and feels as if this is now kind of a rebirth on and off the court.
Well, he's handled it well thus far, and he's been a member of a high-level team at Missouri, where he was a all-defensive team member in the Big 12. He's played in this building twice at Oklahoma State. Hadn't had a whole lot of success. But he brings a lot of experience to this Memphis team, and he stepped in right away seamlessly.
Well, he racked up awards 2 years ago, his junior season at Missouri, all defensive selection, and the 6th man of the year, but he'll be called on to be a starter for Memphis this year. Goodwin comes over, blocks Smart, but the second effort by Marcus Smart extends Oklahoma State's lead.
You always have to watch Marcus Smart. He takes the ball out. He got a little screen to post. They were late getting him the ball. He was wide open to start, but he stuck with it after that was blocked by Shaq Goodwin inside. He is so strong. There's not another guard in America that can match his strength. There he is underneath, and that's Jaron Johnson again, not afraid to foul. It was blocked, but he stuck with it and finished with the left hand. He's a big-time player.
That last Cowboy foul called on Brian Williams.
Good help by Cobbins on that ball screen up top.
Wide open look, though, for Johnson. Can't get the roll. 2 Cowboys come together, and it ends up with LeBron Nash.
But Brian Williams has got an extra step on his ladder.
Blocking foul called on Dixon. off to the type of quick start that we anticipated. Our journey to the tourney continues in just a moment from Gallagher-Iba Arena.
It goes by the quarters of the court. It depends on the different numbering systems the teams will have. Right now, they're in their 12 defense. They're going man-to-man underneath. If they went to zone, it would be 22.
Hard to handle Marcus Smart, whether he's outside or inside the paint.
He's so strong, it's just hard to stay between him and the basket. And he comes off of screens, shoulder to shoulder. You're not going to get in between there. Now, the difference in the game thus far has been Marcus Smart. He's got 10 to start.
In the last 2.5 minutes. Goodwin fouled on a reach-in. And that will go against Marcus Smart.
When Marcus Smart takes the ball inbounds, he didn't take it in here, but oftentimes when you set the screen, you're going to be the one that's wide open. He sets a little cross screen and immediately posts up, and he's going to post a guard with this 4-guard lineup that's going to be smaller, and he's going to be able to dominate down low in the post.
Phil Forte checking in for the first time, and that's noteworthy as he spent part of the day in the doctor's office not feeling well. And already bodies up Michael Dixon, and that ball floats out of bounds. And they'll say that Oklahoma State did not get a piece, so Dixon off to a 1-for-4 start from the floor. But Phil Forte getting fluids today. He had the dreaded stomach virus that every parent prays their kid doesn't get because, you know, it runs right through the house. Marcus Smart draws a foul at mid-floor. So we'll see how much Phil Forte is able to play tonight, Jay. They were not sure he was going to play at all, much less extended minutes.
Well, he's a tough kid, and he's played an awful lot of minutes here at Oklahoma State. Played a lot of minutes with Marcus Smart. They've known each other since they've been in 3rd grade. Played on a couple of state championship teams in high school in Texas, and he's averaging 21 a game. He's not missed any open shots thus far this season.
Brian Nash in the post. The tip follow won't go as Kamari Murphy kept it alive. Joe Jackson has his pocket picked by Nash, and here's Smart.
We have to give all the credit to Marcus Smart. He's the one that got that turnover with his great court sense.
Spin move and a nice one from Damian Wilson.
Wilson, the lefty, was just given that perimeter jump shot. Instead, with the defender backing off, he just took up that space, spun right to the rim.
Foul away from the ball on LeBron Nash. That's his first.
Marcus Smart has just come out of the game for a little rest, and that has been well earned. He has played very well on both ends of the floor. 12 points to start. Couple of steals, but very active defensively. He stayed in front of Joe Jackson, which is not easy. Jackson incredibly fast and quick with the ball.
So Marcus Smart replaced by another freshman, Stevie Clark. And he is a heralded point guard recruit. It's a block out on the edge.
Not a good shot by Karan Iverson. Going up against a superior athlete in Markel Brown, that if Marcus Smart wasn't on his team, we'd be talking about him as one of maybe the most versatile player in the Big 12.
Murphy hits a jumper off the long rebounds after Stevie Clark missed from 3.
Well, that's the kind of lift that Kamari Murphy needs to give to this Oklahoma State team. His coach called him a junkyard dog, and he didn't really know what that meant. He said, "Coach, I prefer glue guy."
Smooth 3 goes down for Damian Wilson. That's a big early shot for Memphis.
Now you have to respect it. They gave him that shot. Now he's hit one. That'll open up a drive. But Memphis has been shooting off of one pass. A few more passes make this defense move. They'll get some better options.
Stevie Clark turns it over. Numbers the other way for Memphis. Wilson gives it up. Clark can't finish. The tip follow won't go. And numbers back the other way for the Cowboys. But a palming violation called on the freshman Stevie Clark.
Everything has been contested at the rim in this game. Memphis has blocked 4 or 5 shots. Oklahoma State now going after shot blocks. You are not going to get anything at the rim. You'd better be over it. One of the guys that Memphis may want to free up is Chris Crawford. He's playing the point right now, but One of the best shooters in the country.
This is Nick King fresh off the bench. He can't hit.
That's not his game to take jump shots. He's more of a driver. Good pass.
Forte gives it up again. Markel Brown. Long rebound. In traffic. Damian Wilson. Looks like he'll draw a foul. It'll go against Phil Forte. 16th foul called against Oklahoma State here in the first half. So Memphis will be shooting free throws the rest of the way.
Well, both these teams want to drive the ball. They're excellent off the bounce. And early on, both teams have been settling a little bit for jump shots. They've been there, but I think there are some things off the bounce they could do.
Nice find inside by Johnson as Nick King, much more in his range, scores at the front of the rim.
And much more active. Really good pass. No hand up to deflect it. And King actually should have turned the other way. Would have had a chance to perhaps get a foul.
Deflection, another takeaway. Crawford with the head-ahead to Jaren Johnson. His little floater won't go. There's King, though, at the front of the rim again for the putback. And Memphis has come back to tie it up.
And when Memphis scores, they can put on some pressure if they choose. They've decided to back it off and play in the half court. We talked about the front courts with these great back courts. The front courts may be deciding this game, and it's got to be on the glass.
Markel Brown fouled by Dominic Woodson. When we come back, though, we'll go behind the scenes with Marcus Smart. A Jay Billis film session. This is good stuff. Stay with us.
I probably wouldn't take that shot because, you know, I wasn't that confident in my shot at times. Now, I'm not going to say I wouldn't have pulled up, but I wouldn't have pulled up this confident than I did with this shot.
So this is something now that if somebody doesn't pick you up in transition, that's right at the NBA line.
Oh, yeah.
You're pulling that up.
I'm pulling that up.
Again, last year, what would be the chances that in this circumstance you would take this shot?
Wouldn't be high. I would probably just still try to bulldoze my way into the lane.
And Marcus Smart, true to his word, with the little step back jumper beyond the three-point line. He got fouled. It goes in. 5 of 8 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3 for 12 points to start out this ball game for Marcus Smart. Last season did not shoot the ball well from three-point range. This season in just 3 games and part of a fourth. Not a great improvement, but he is shooting a much better ball this year than last year, and he's still got a lot of room to improve that perimeter shot. The rest of his game is already there, and especially you can see his communication there. He's talking to Stevie Clark, an outstanding freshman, and mentoring him. His voice is such a commanding presence out on the floor.
After spending time with Marcus Smart, though, yesterday, we talked about what your takeaways from that were. And you didn't even talk about basketball. The first thing you talked about was, this is an impressive guy. I mean, just to sit and speak with him about why he decided to come back to Oklahoma State rather than enter what was one of the weaker NBA drafts in a while. He probably would have been a top 5, top 7 pick last year and instead opted to come back for his sophomore season.
I've never heard so many plaudits coming from coaches about a young player that I've heard with Marcus Smart, about his maturity, his leadership, and everything you've heard is true and then some. I mean, he's 19 years old. I was asking him for advice.
Did he give you any good ones?
I can't say. If I give him advice, it's an NCAA violation. He can give all he likes. But really a tremendous leader out on the floor. In practice, his voice is such a presence, and his teammates listen to him. Little zone on the out of bounds. They went with a 1-3-1, 3/4 court press. Trying to trap across half court. Now a little 1-2-2 half court zone. They'll try to get it into the seam, see if they can get it into the middle, and they'll still screen it and overload it.
Wilson for 3. Air ball.
Damian Wilson came into this game and really did a good job to start, but that's not his shot. He is more of a driver.
So Wilson sits. Joe Jackson checks back in. And interesting from Travis Ford as well. You wonder how often he'll play Marcus Smart and Stevie Clark together this season. Both point guards on the floor right now.
Well, Clark is a big-time scorer. He was 5th all-time in Oklahoma high school scoring history. Played the 2 guard. Now Marcus Smart is at the point. Clark can play it. He's really done a good job of playing as a pass-first player instead of more of a scorer.
Nice look there. Cobbins pinned. As Shaq Goodwin with a clean block on Michael Cobbins after Stevie Clark had a great find through traffic.
Just a beautiful pass, just threading the needle between 2 defenders, and a basket-saving block by Shaq Goodwin. And Josh Pastner all over his team to box out. He needs these guys to rebound. That has been a big point of emphasis. Rebounding is going to be the difference between winning and losing.
3rd block for Oklahoma State to go against 5 blocks in the game so far for Memphis. That time Kamari Murphy got the rejection. And as you said, Jay, we have had every drive contested at the rim.
Just confrontations at the rim. Nice decision by Marcus Smart. He wasn't going to get there for the charge, so he backed off. And he's got some shot blockers, not only with Murphy, but with Michael Cobbins as well. Let them do their job. Let them contest. Let them block shots. That was a big-time block.
And the foul on that exchange called on Shaq Goodwin, his first. And that's the 6th team foul called against Memphis. So both teams in the bonus for the rest of the first half.
Now with Stevie Clark in the game, that means Marcus Smart can move off the ball. He'll come off this low screen.
And connects from downtown. Austin Nichols can score with either hand. That was a strength that Josh Pastner said he has, and he flashes it there.
Just a terrific skill level. He came down to Duke and Memphis for his college choices. A Memphis kid who can really run the floor. He's got great hands and a terrific touch. He just needs to get stronger.
Marcus Smart, can he stay hot? He'll get fouled again and shoot 3 free throws. That close to a chance for another 4-point play.
And Marcus Smart clearly feeling it, and he is playing aggressively. You can see him just waiting there and moving Jaren Johnson off that low screen. And he catches that ball ready to shoot, squared his shoulders, and again squaring up. And Johnson trailing the play. You got to get some pressure on the shot, but the last thing you can do is foul a 3-point shooter. This is where Marcus Smart makes his living in college. He shot 215 free throws last year. He'll shoot at least that many this year. He'll wear a hole in that spot at the line where the nail is.
Rafe LaFrentz back in 1998, the only other Big 12 Player of the Year to return to school. Normally not an award won by a freshman, but that's how impressive Marcus Smart's season was last year. And he was a unanimous AP preseason All-American heading into his sophomore season.
Well, Marcus Smart has not been dominating on the offensive end in the first 3 games. He's been taking everything as it comes, but he has come in this game to be the most aggressive offensive player on the floor. He is looking to attack at every opportunity.
18 points of the 23 for Oklahoma State to their star point guard.
A run and jump by Oklahoma State.
Joe Jackson can't hit a long 2. Here comes Markel Brown finding Smart. He'll try again. He's got another. Markel Brown commits the foul, and all that does is give the crowd a chance to heap more praise on Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart, the preseason Big 12 Player of the Year. Any questions? What a phenomenal start to this ball game for Marcus Smart. Just showing every facet of the game, and he's been terrific on the defensive end as well. And one thing that Josh Pastner, the Memphis head coach, cannot stand, it's giving up open threes. And the threes that Marcus Smart have been taking, those have been contested. He's had a hand up on, in fact, been fouled, but they've been getting to him. Those are not easy shots that he's making.
We've already seen Memphis once in this first half take a punch, come back to tie the game at 16. Now they fall behind again. And free throws made by Shaq Goodwin. Maybe we'll see if before halftime they can take this second punch and come back.
Well, this is a veteran team.
Are you kidding me? 24 points in the first half so far for Marcus Smart. Wow. Dixon has it stolen away by Smart. He's not going to try again. That's off the mark. Offensive rebound and a putback by Brian Williams.
Marcus Smart drew 3 defenders, and that opened up the offensive glass, and the glass has been dominated by Oklahoma State.
It'll stay with Memphis. And that will bring Nick King back in the game. Marcus Smart outscoring Memphis alone.
What has he not done? There's not a facet of the game that he has not performed in this ballgame. Offensively, on the defensive end, alert for steals, talking, leading.
His last 12 points came in a span of 1 minute and 12 seconds.
He needs more minutes.
Deflection. Loose ball. And it looks like a timeout will be granted to the Oklahoma State sideline. We'll step aside for 30 seconds and come back to Stillwater. I think they'll be heard. It's loud in here right now.
Well, they've had a lot to cheer about for Marcus Smart, but he's not been alone. He's just been the protagonist, the leader in this show, and his teammates have been diving on the floor. They've been all over the glass. And Memphis got to find a way to get some easy baskets. It's been all jump shots for the Tigers.
Clark penetrates. The throwdown inside by Michael Cobbins. A near steal for Brian Williams brings us to break. A 13-2 Cowboy run led by Marcus Smart.
Well, Marcus Smart decided to come back. He did not go into the NBA draft where he would have been a top pick. He came back to Oklahoma State. And they've not only raised the roof, he has shot the lights out here in the first half against Memphis.
Parker and Rodney Hood combined for 51, but Duke struggled containing the ball off the bounce.
We'll talk much more about that at the half. Kansas struggling against Iona right now. Kentucky and UT Arlington in a good one at the break. Highlights of the top teams coming up.
All right, Carl, thanks very much. You know what? Tell Jabari Parker, tell Andrew Wiggins, take a breather. There's a sophomore that might have some headlines in him this year.
And Marcus Smart has played 9 minutes in this game. He's got 24 points.
Another foul called on Shaq Goodwin. That's his second.
Just to contrast that, 9 minutes, 24 points for Marcus Smart, the sophomore. The senior guards, the 4 senior guards of Memphis that we have talked so much about, that so many have said is the best backcourt in the country. And I'm not disputing that. They're an outstanding backcourt. They played 36 minutes, the 4 seniors. They've combined for 4 points. I think Marcus Smart had balance coming in. He had chip on both shoulders about who was the best backcourt in the country. I think he's putting in a bid for Oklahoma State right now.
Let's see if Memphis can bite off any of this deficit with Marcus Smart on the bench. And how long will he sit with Oklahoma State up by 15?
I'm not sure that Memphis is going to do this through jump shots. I think they've got to get to the rim, get to the free throw line.
And there's Jackson on the drive. Joe Jackson with his first impact play.
And the first time that he's really taken the ball to the rim, but it's one of the first times he hasn't been guarded by Marcus Smart either.
And guess who's getting up and heading to the scorer's table? It's Marcus Smart. The fadeaway hits the backboard first, way up in the air for an offensive rebound is Williams, and it's a held ball. So Memphis will get it as they've got the possession arrow in the 2K Sports Classic at the Garden. The semifinals begin Thursday night at 7 Eastern. UConn takes on Boston College. The championship game Friday at 7 Eastern on ESPN2. Indiana and Washington, the second half of the Thursday night doubleheader.
Boston College has gotten off to a rough start. They've had a very difficult schedule. Olivier Hanlon had a terrific ball game the other night against Florida Atlantic. I think he had like 38.
Well, the ACC as a whole has taken a little bit of a credibility hit to start off this year.
Well, the self-proclaimed greatest conference in history has not gotten off to a good start.
Shot clock to 10. Jackson behind a screen. Off the mark. With a wall off inside, and Kamari Murphy with the rebound. Smart for three. And an offensive rebound on the weak side by Brian Williams. Markel Brown. His turn to try from long range. Crawford is able to snatch the loose ball. And Karan Iverson, the freshman, turns it over. Murphy fouls. He'll go to the line.
And Memphis has not been strong with the ball and has not been making good decisions against Oklahoma State's pressure. That was a turnover waiting to happen when they got the ball to Iverson just over midcourt. And he just threw that thing up for grabs, and a terrific pass by Marcus Smart in the open court. You know, Smart has been awfully hot. And I'll tell you, I think he can give a little shot fake, take the ball to the basket. They're going to bite on every fake up right now because of how hot he's been.
A smile from Marcus Smart as Kamari Murphy went glass from the line. That foul on Joe Jackson, his first. So 2 bricks for Kamari Murphy, but 1 went. A floater blocked as Crawford had it projected.
Well, Smart did such a nice job of angling him.
The lob unable to finish, though, way above the rim was Brian Williams. Jackson in transition. He'll attack and roll it over the front of the goal and get it to go.
He'll use his left hand. That was not an easy shot over Kamari Murphy. Murphy does a nice job of staying straight up and down.
Smart can't hit, forced it. And here comes Michael Dixon Jr. 5 on 4 for Memphis. Dixon will go to the rim. That gets blocked. It will stay with the Tigers.
Well, it doesn't matter whether it's big guy or guard. This is a lineup with tremendous athleticism. Brian Williams, a spectacular athlete. Markel Brown, a spectacular athlete. And both Murphy and Cobbins, long-armed and athletic.
Well, that was your takeaway from both practices.
I couldn't believe how athletic Oklahoma State was. I've seen Markel Brown a lot. I've seen Marcus Smart a lot. I'll tell you, when you look at the complete package, Williams may be the best athlete on the floor as far as just pure run and jump is concerned.
And there's number 4 in white, out guarding the ball on Chris Crawford. Jackson lost it, taken away by the freshman Stevie Clark. The hit ahead to Williams. And he's able to finish.
There's 5 minutes to go in this first half. Memphis has got to calm down.
A step-back jumper just comes up short for Dixon, and Nichols can't keep it alive.
But that was a step-back jumper with no passes being made against a set defense. It was too difficult a shot in this circumstance. Dixon, who transferred in from Missouri, but those other 3 guards had each 100 assists, over 100 assists, and over 50 steals. That's remarkable for 3 guards in the same backcourt.
Williams drives, plus the foul.
That was a brilliant decision by Williams. A little shot fake, got the defender up on the closeout, and then drove it. That was a big-time play by Brian Williams. Nice cross-court pass. All it took was just looking at the basket, lifting up, and a poor closeout by Chris Crawford, and Williams took advantage of it.
Austin Nichols committed the foul, his second, so he goes back to the bench. Dominic Woodson is back in for Memphis. As Williams completes the 3-point play, and it's a 17-point lead for the Cowboys.
Well, Memphis has been in tough situations before. But the last time this team played in a game this high level, they got blown out by Michigan State in the NCAA tournament. And this team, Oklahoma State, excellent defensively.
Josh Pastner, as the head coach for Memphis, is 0-12 against ranked opponents, 0-7 against the top 10. Now, that's probably a small sample size in that he's in his 5th year. You're only playing a few ranked opponents a season and some in the NCAA tournament, because your conference schedule, as Johnson's able to finish inside in Conference USA, is not going to compare to the competition they'll face this year.
Yeah, they're going to have a much better schedule. Twice they'll play Louisville, twice they'll play Cincinnati, twice UConn. They'll give them a lot more big-time RPI games to play.
And they still have a matchup coming with Florida. They've got the matchup tonight against Oklahoma State. They've got some marquee teams on their schedule. They'll play Gonzaga as usual as well. So he feels like his team will be much more battle-tested come March.
Oh, I agree. I mean, Josh Pastner's averaged 27 wins a year. Boy, Kevin Durant just walked into the building. Well, he's missed quite a show to this point in the ballgame. He must have heard about it and came over from Oklahoma City so he could see Marcus Smart.
The jump hook for Dominic Woodson. Memphis will try and cut into this lead before halftime. And another turnover.
Not a good decision by Markel Brown.
Giving it right back, though, sloppy in transition, Jaron Johnson.
Right now, Travis Ford is telling his team.
Welcome back to the Journey to the Tourney. Bob Wischusen alongside Jay Billis here in Stillwater. And while we were away, another legend, Coach Sutton, in his normal seat here at Gallagher-Iba Arena.
The great Eddie Sutton did such a great job here at Oklahoma State. Right now, Travis Ford, the head coach here, now 3rd all-time. Great backdoor cut.
And Marcus Smart will go to the line. Terrific pass by Markel Brown.
Well, that was a set play. They came to the open side, and Chris Crawford just got caught leaning. Woodson came over to try to block it. There's no way you're going to knock Marcus Smart to the floor. Stopped a little handoff, really well done and well executed. That was a terrific pass by Markel Brown.
Second foul called on Woodson. So now Shaq Goodwin, Austin Nichols, and Dominic Woodson all with 2 fouls apiece. And we wondered how much Phil Forte was going to play tonight and if they would need his scoring. He was averaging 21 a game coming into tonight to lead Oklahoma State through their first 3 games, but Marcus Smart's done it by himself. On the drive, lost it, found it again. And the rebound to Chris Crawford. End-to-end Brian Williams gets a swat away.
What a play.
Brown, high off the glass.
Terrific decision by Stevie Clark. And Brown, talk about an extra step on the ladder. He went right over Woodson with that right hand and lofted that up over him to avoid the block shot. He was terrific this summer at the LeBron James Skills Academy in Las Vegas.
What are you looking at? That foul on Stevie Clark, his first, and the team's 9th, so still a 1-on-1 for Memphis.
Oklahoma State has just kept the pressure on all over the floor.
An offensive rebound kept it alive. The baby jumper won't go for Woodson, but in traffic, it still stays with the Tigers.
Everything has been contested. And Oklahoma State there to challenge every shot. They've really not given up much easy in this game.
Good job by Jaron Johnson to save and keep the possession alive for Memphis. As Michael Dixon Jr. just came back on. A near turnover and a bailout foul as Kamari Murphy is called for his first. And the Puerto Rico tip-off quarterfinals Thursday on ESPNU and ESPN2. As we'll have a host of games. The semifinals will follow Friday and the championship game Sunday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN2. The highest ranked team among this group, VCU, will take on Florida State in the nightcap.
So Michigan coming off that loss to Iowa State. And Melvin Ejim of Iowa State, coming off that injury, was phenomenal against Michigan. And that'll be a terrific matchup between the size of Florida State against the pressing of VCU, the havoc that Shaka Smart's team can bring in the full court.
An illegal screen call on Kamari Murphy.
They were just going to that open side again, see if they could catch Memphis napping for a backdoor or perhaps lob. A little bit too much by Murphy on the screen. You got to be set. And a lot of times that's the guard that leads a player into that. As a guard, you've got to be set and allow your screener to get set before you take off.
So that's Murphy's second. He goes to the bench. King comes back on for Memphis. He will replace Damian Wilson.
Right now, Josh Pastner's got to be telling his team that they need to rely on their offense more instead of relying on their individual skill sets. Move the ball, move yourself, and then attack. When the ball goes side to side, they're going to have an opportunity. If it stays on one side, they're not going to be able to beat Oklahoma State. Boy, excellent help by Cobbins.
Jackson's in trouble. Lost the dribble, found it again. Woodson couldn't handle the pass, though, from Jackson.
The Cowboys have been everywhere with active hands.
Marcus Smart finds the freshman Stevie Clark. And this is the largest Cowboy lead. And it leads to a Memphis timeout.
Steals, blocks, rebounds. Oklahoma State has been dominating. The trap, Joe Jackson. The ball's knocked away. Otherwise, he was really trapped. Nobody coming to help. Marcus Smart knocks it away. And look at it. He keeps his head up the entire time, gets it to the middle of the floor. And Stevie Clark, the outstanding scorer, was ready to shoot. And you think Marcus Smart is putting his vote in for the best backcourt in the country? I think he begs to differ with the experts that said it was Memphis.
Let's take a look at tonight's Wendy's Wooden Watch. We've got two players that are on the watch list for the Wooden Award in tonight's game. And one of those two has sent a big-time message from the minute the ball was thrown up.
Well, fortunately for the rest of the country, the Wooden Award is not going to be voted upon tonight, because if it were voted upon now, I think Marcus Smart would win it hands down. With all the great performances we've seen, Jabari Parker at Duke, Julius Randle at Kentucky, no one has been as good as Marcus Smart has been in this first half.
Smart gets the steal, misses the three. And a chance in transition for Michael Dixon. He'll swoop in and draw a foul.
When you're as hot as Marcus Smart has been, there's certainly nothing wrong with that shot. But you still want to see him balance it with using that tremendous strength, his ability to get to the free throw line where he does most of his damage.
Stevie Clark called for his second foul. Memphis now 6 of 9 at the free throw line as a team, and 2 of those misses have been the front ends of 1-and-1s.
Michael Dixon, a terrific scorer. He can shoot it, he can get to the rim, but he's been met at the rim by shot blockers and shot challengers. And it hasn't just been Michael.
We've had 11 blocked shots here in the first half combined between the two teams.
A 2-3 set. And Joe Jackson got caught holding Marcus Smart. They set a little double away, and then Smart turned around to come off the single.
And that's Jackson's second.
Oklahoma State runs a lot of really good offense. They've got so many different weapons. Guys that have different skills, that they've got a number of shooters and a bunch of guys that can put the ball on the deck and attack the paint.
Both teams in the double bonus now, so it's an automatic 2 for Marcus Smart. A unanimous AP preseason All-American, the only unanimous selection among the top 5.
If this were a game of Monopoly, you'd want to buy that free throw line, because Marcus Smart's going to owe you a lot of rent. He's there all the time.
Crawford for 3. A rebound inside by Smart.
Boy, what a box out. He took Nick King right out of it.
Had it knocked away, though, and here comes Crawford.
Good recovery by Oklahoma State.
A foul called on Stevie Clark on the scramble for the loose ball. That's his third.
Boy, that was a tough call. Clark did everything you want a player to do. Active with his hands, knocked the ball away, and then went down on the deck to go get it. I don't know what, maybe with his right hand might have grabbed the right arm of Joe Jackson, but not a lot there. It's one of those tough calls. But you know what? That's one a coach can live with, because he did everything you want a player to do.
Another miss at the line for Memphis as Leighton Hammonds comes on to replace the freshman Stevie Clark. Not only a free throw miss, but a foul called on the rebound.
Looks like they got Woodson pushing off inside.
That's his second. Check that. That's Dominic Woodson's third.
Officials are going to have to put some time back on the clock. Those are the kind of mistakes. You can see Woodson right underneath. There are two hands on the back of
Not only
Michael Cobbins. There wasn't a whole lot there, but and the referee was behind the play.
The clock ran for nearly 10 seconds. That should not. So it's an automatic 2 at the line for Michael Cobbins, as both teams, as we said, you can see in the double bonus. And we have had fouls piling up on both teams here in the first half, Jay, but you believe, at least what we've seen so far this season with the quote-unquote new rules, that the impact has been overblown?
Oh, no question it's been overblown. Have there been some outliers like Seton Hall, Niagara? Yeah, where you've had a bunch of fouls, absolutely. But if this game were last year, you'd have guys holding cutters, and Marcus Smart wouldn't have gotten some of these shots off. He would have been held. The game's been played on a much cleaner basis, and the game's better for it.
Nichols picks up his dribble. Shot clock to 10. And Dixon is fouled by Williams.
Yeah, Williams just had the arm bar right on the hip of Michael Dixon. And anytime you put your hands on a ball handler, you're doing it for one reason. That's to impede the ball handler's progress.
Second personal on Brian Williams.
Oklahoma State, they've not played a perfect first half, but it's been as good as any team I've seen defensively. And they've been really good. Guarding the ball, they've been talking, challenging everything, making good decisions, and then they've capitalized on Memphis's mistakes. Memphis hasn't gotten anything easy.
And they've hurt themselves at the line as well. They're only 8 for 14 from the free throw line here in the first half. So a chance to hold for the final shot. I wonder who'll take it.
Going with the horn set.
Smart on the backdoor cut, looking for Brown. Still chance for Dixon. Gives it up, and King draws the foul with 0.7 seconds to go. What patience shown by the senior guard, Michael Dixon, to realize even with that little time on the clock that he had time to give it up in transition and make a play.
A little bit too early for that kind of play by Marcus Smart. One of the few bad decisions that he's made in this ball game, and not a very good decision to foul. You want to challenge there, but you do not want to foul and send Memphis to the free throw line.
Nick King, Tennessee Mr. Basketball last year, and number 31 in our ESPN 100, part of this terrific recruiting class for Memphis. But they were schooled in the first half by the sophomore Big 12 Player of the Year, Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart was phenomenal in that first half. Offensively, defensively, his leadership. Just a tremendous.
He couldn't have been any better.
Well, he set the tone on both ends of the floor. It wasn't just on the offensive end where he had 26 points in the first half. He went 8 of 16 from the field, including 4 of 8 from 3, but he did it going to the basket. He did it knocking down open shots, pulling up from a distance from 3, getting fouled that he probably wouldn't have taken last year. And he posted up. His defense was absolutely tremendous. He had 3 steals, but I'll tell you, he wasn't alone. He got a lot of help in that first half, especially on the defensive end. I thought Kamari Murphy was terrific at 5 rebounds, a couple of blocks. Brian Williams at 9 points, 6 rebounds, a steal. Marcus Smart and his teammates really dominated the game on the defensive end, holding Memphis to 35%, forcing 10 turnovers.
Memphis in the first half, 48 total possessions. Those 10 turnovers, 20 missed shots, and 6 shots blocked as well. So now what for the Tigers in the second half?
Well, they just have to chip away possession by possession and have to make a stand. And you have to start it on the defensive end.
And it starts with a foul. A reach-in called on Joe Jackson.
Well, this is Marcus Smart versus Memphis. And he just about dominated this Memphis team by himself. But if you take a look at the 4 senior guards of the Memphis Tigers, the much celebrated 4 senior guards, they combined for 18 points on 4 of 17 shooting in that first half and 8 turnovers. Marcus Smart certainly had his way with those 4 guards.
And little choice, you would think, for Josh Pastner, but to leave Joe Jackson on the floor with 3 fouls. He just picked up his third 17 seconds into the second half.
I thought that foul was going to go against Jaren Johnson, but yeah, you don't have any choice. If there's some foul trouble, you got to play through it. Because this game could, not that it's not a significant margin right now, but it could get away from you with no chance of coming back in a hurry in the second half.
A throwaway. Johnson got the offensive rebound, and instead it turns into a dunk at the other end for Brian Williams.
A cross-court pass from the baseline is never going to work. Boy, Jackson can't even get the ball right now from Marcus Smart, not letting him have it. He's just face guarding him. But Jackson's just shaking his head. What do I have to do to get open? Smart knocks it away.
Goodwin gets a timeout called.
And Marcus Smart has dominated this game. He is so alert defensively, talks, sees the ball, knocks that thing away. Just a dominant performance on both ends.
Speaking of the Oklahoma City Thunder, there's their head coach Scott Brooks. An off night for the Thunder after a win last night, so why not make the drive over to Stillwater and watch Marcus Smart, who we did go to Kevin Durant at halftime and ask him his thoughts as attacking the rim as Shaq Goodwin, and he'll go to the free throw line. And Kevin Durant's quote, Marcus Smart is really good, which I think probably crystallizes the thoughts of everyone in attendance tonight based on what we have seen already. Markel Brown called for the foul on Shaq Goodwin.
Markel Brown not about to let Shaq Goodwin dunk that ball. 2 tremendous athletes going after it. Yeah, this is really a test for Memphis coming down the stretch here. They've still got 18:50 to go in regulation. Well, can they fight back in this environment and make this respectable?
Good for Shaq Goodwin, who attacked the rim. There was a little bit of an exchange between Goodwin and Michael Cobbins on the held ball before the last timeout.
Chris Crawford coming from behind to try to back tip that ball and got called for the foul.
That's his first.
And he has been really quiet in this game. He hasn't been able to find any open looks. I mean, he's an NBA caliber 3-point shooter, and he has not gotten anything in this game. Good pass.
Brian Nash with a ball fake, pulls up at the elbow. That won't go. The offensive rebound out of the scramble, and Michael Cobbins keeps it alive for the Pokes.
First to the floor has been Oklahoma State.
Smart turns the corner. A little English, that won't go. An offensive rebound, point blank range, and Cobbins couldn't convert. Nichols turns and gets the roll.
One of the few times that Memphis has been able to get the ball into the paint and allows them to put some full court pressure on it. That is one tough guy to trap, Marcus Smart.
Goodwin kept it alive on the baseline. Johnson pulls up. That won't go.
Oklahoma State has done a nice job of boxing out on the glass. That ball hit the floor because Memphis couldn't get to it. And Memphis hasn't been able to hit an open shot. They have had some open opportunities, and in the first half and early in the second, they haven't been able to get a perimeter jumper to fall.
Well, the Tigers are 1 for 7 from three-point land, and overall shooting only 35%. And 61% at the line as well. And there's Marcus Smart, who ties his career high in style. Goodwin leans in. That shot's blocked. Michael Cobbins rejects Goodwin. Markel Brown shakes and bakes and has his shot knocked out of bounds by Austin Nichols.
Just a little guard-to-guard pass. And then a back pick by Michael Cobbins. Nobody talks. The freshman, Austin Nichols, not used to this kind of play. Didn't see it coming. And nobody steps in front. That was just way too easy. No pressure on the ball. And Marcus Smart, that was a great way to tie a career high.
Markel Brown down. Looks like he's trying to work out a cramp. So Stevie Clark, the freshman, gets up off the bench. And that's certainly worthy of being a SportsCenter top 10 nominee, as that's a nice way to tie your career high. And almost assuredly Marcus Smart will have a new career high in short order with 16:40 to go in the second half, and his team up by 20.
You know, it's hard to really think of what he's done wrong in this game. You know, a couple of turnovers, maybe a 4-shot here or there, but that's it. He's been phenomenal on the defensive end, Marcus Smart.
Our next journey to the tourney game is the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off champion. Possible meeting between North Carolina and Louisville, and North Carolina dropped in the polls, of course, as they lost at home to Belmont in a game where, from the free throw line, they were as bad as you could be.
They missed 26 free throws in that game against Belmont. It was a game that, even as well as Belmont played, J.J. Mann had a terrific ball game. They knocked down 15 threes, did Rick Byrd's Bruins. But even with all that, North Carolina should have won that game. I mean, they had a lead late into the game. They started turning the ball over. 13 seconds to go. They didn't even get a decent shot. And Markel Brown having a tough time with this cramping, getting off the floor. Well, he's a tough kid. He has really had a good start to his senior season. A player that's gotten better and better every single year and scratches in just about every category of the stat sheet. You know, this has not been his best game in this one, but he hasn't forced anything, and he has played every defensive possession hard.
Byron Houston's the only other player in Oklahoma State history with 200 assists, 100 steals, and 75 or more blocks. Nice turnaround by Michael Cobbins on the bench. Those are the numbers that Markel Brown has hit across the board, besides being an 1,100-point scorer.
Well, what a pretty post feed by Marcus Smart. Got away with a foul there.
Jared Johnson, his own miss. He's able to stick it back up and in.
I really think that Memphis has got to drive the ball. They've got to put Oklahoma State in a position to foul. They're not going to jump shoot their way out of this. They're going to have to defend and get to the rim.
Michael Dixon Jr. called for the foul. That's his second. Memphis was the last Division I program to begin their season. They've only played one game. They beat Austin Peay on Thursday. Every other team in the country had played a game before they finally played one. Oklahoma State has played 3 games, and they won those 3 games by 56 points, 53 points, and 34 points. But of course, All you have to do is take a look at the competition level that they played to explain it, but they have been just that impressive tonight as they are blowing out the 11th ranked team in the country.
And that's the way LeBron Nash needs to play.
Wow. Chalk up another statistical check mark for Marcus Smart as he sends that one into the third row. What can't he do?
Oklahoma State has challenged every shot near the rim. Marcus Smart coming over from the weak side, head near the rim, blocking it.
And, you know, at that time I would have been an 18-year-old kid. You know, I'm still young. I'm still in the enjoying my life stage. And that's kind of just growing up really fast. So, you know, before I go, I wanted to make sure that I mature a little bit more and understand a lot more of what I'm getting myself into, what I'm getting ready to do, and make sure I have no regrets about it.
That doesn't sound like a 19-year-old.
No. Doesn't sound like a 50-year-old either. He's got maturity well beyond his years, and he's not only enjoying his life, he's enjoying this game.
Jack Goodwin finishes the alley-oop.
While he was talking, got another block shot. He's so alert to the ball. Marcus Smart doesn't play his man. He plays the ball, and he sees his man. That's where LeBron Nash is at his best, where he's putting the ball on the deck and attacking the basket. Cleared aside, and he got all the way to the rim to pick up that foul.
Another Wendy's Wooden Watch as we take a closer look at the work that Marcus Smart has done so far tonight, already tying his career high, and that's a lot of columns to show up in the box score. Still with 15 minutes to go.
You know, most players are definable. You could say, well, he's a shooter, or he's a defensive specialist. That guy's a rebounder, shot blocker. You can't really define Marcus Smart by that because he does everything well. Like, he's not a great shooter. That's the one thing you could say, okay, he really needs to improve upon that to become a true, complete star. But he's just a player. I mean, you can play him at the point. You can play him. He can guard absolutely anybody. Go down into the post. There's really nowhere on the floor he can't play.
King hits a three.
That allows Memphis to put on some full court pressure.
And a foul called a long way away from the basket on Damian Wilson. How hard is it now with the quote-unquote, as we said, new rules to press?
It's not. That would have been a foul last year. All you need to angle him in to help. You're not going to just stay in front of a guy in the full court and pick up a charge there. And actually, he was fortunate there, Wilson, that he didn't get another foul. He put both hands on. Usually that's an automatic.
Smart steps into a three. And there is a new career high for Marcus Smart.
Well, one of the reasons you press is to try to speed a team up. And this team doesn't mind getting sped up a little bit because they've got some finishers on the other end. And Marcus Smart, he would not have taken this shot last year. Just a terrific pass by Markel Brown. Brown has been so unselfish in this game. He's blocked 3 shots. You know, Smart has gotten all the headlines, and a headline grabber himself, a great scorer from University of Texas, Kevin Durant. He's shaking his head at how good Marcus Smart is.
Unable to finish on the lob was Michael Cobbins. It went right through his hands, and then he came down hard, and he is holding the back of his legs.
Yeah, those are just cramps. But Smart has gotten a lot of help in this game. I've been really impressed with the play of Markel Brown's done a nice job, even though he hadn't scored. But Brian Williams has been really good in this game. He got 11 points, 8 rebounds, a couple of steals, a block. He's been everywhere. Really used his athleticism and stayed within himself and taken opportunities. You know, the athleticism of this Oklahoma State team is really impressive.
So Markel Brown was able to work through his cramps and come back in, and now Michael Cobbins will have to try and do the same as he immediately.
Looks like he was cramping before he even hit the floor.
And on the landing, he was grabbing his calves.
It was altitude sickness. You guys are up there.
We've got plenty of talent in tonight's game that in the not too distant future will find themselves playing on an NBA Wednesday. Tomorrow night, ESPN, a primetime doubleheader at 7 Eastern. Paul George and the Pacers against Carmelo and the Knicks. And then at 9:30, Dwight Howard and the Rockets head to Dallas to take on Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavs. NBA Wednesday presented by State Farm. Both games also live on Watch ESPN tomorrow night.
Now Marcus Smart spent part of the summer with the USA Basketball Under-19 team. He won a gold medal under Billy Donovan. He also spent some time with Mike Krzyzewski and the United States men's national team, one of 2 college players that worked out this summer in Vegas, the other Doug McDermott of Creighton. What an experience for Smart to be able to go head-to-head against Kyrie Irving and John Wall and the like. Good pass.
Deep post position for LeBron Nash. And hit, but Kamari Murphy is there for another follow for the Cowboys.
Murphy's another player that's come in. He's been very active on the glass, active defensively. And when you go for a shot block, 2 guys went to try to block that shot by Nash. That opens up the offensive glass, and Murphy took advantage of it.
Markel Brown leans in, and this is a drubbing that Oklahoma State is putting on Memphis.
And watching Oklahoma State play, they're going to be a real challenge to Kansas. But the question is, can they defend and rebound the interior strength of Kansas? Can they hang with them on the glass? Can they guard inside? Because at the guard spots, I think this team has proven that they can play with anybody. And they're doing this. Forte has played 3-4 minutes? I mean, he's been a non-factor in this game because of the illness. He spent all day in the infirmary taking IV fluids, being ill. And he's averaging 21 a game. You think, he can stretch the floor. That would have given them even another great weapon out there. This team's going to hang 100 on Memphis after averaging 100 coming in.
Nice move by Chris Crawford. There has been too little of that for Memphis, the ability to score at the rim, as they've been forced to try threes, and they're 2 for 9 from behind the arc.
Well, much better shooting team than they've shown in this game, but you have to give Oklahoma State the credit because they have really a little slice cut screen for the screener action.
Dixon can't get it to go. Here comes Brian Williams crossing over with the finger roll.
Oh, what an outlet pass. Oklahoma State didn't foul. They challenged the shot. It was missed, and they outletted that ball right away to get it to Williams. Boy, what a game he's had.
A foul away from the ball. That looks like it might be against Stevie Clark. That's his 4th. We'll step aside for just a moment. Marcus Smart set to come back in when we return. We'll be rocking on Saturday night at 8 Eastern as game day is coming to Stillwater for Baylor, Oklahoma State. Baylor trying to get to 10-0 for the first time in team history, and if they win that game, they are all but assured of passing Ohio State for number 3 in the BCS. They are just fractionally behind the Buckeyes in the latest BCS rankings. As Shaq Goodwin commits the foul. How do you think Urban Meyer's going to feel, Jay, if his team remains undefeated and once again they drop back a spot and very likely could end up being a 25-0 football team over the last couple of years? Now, last year they weren't eligible, but when was the last time you ever even thought about a Big Ten team like Ohio State going undefeated and not having a chance to play for the national championship? That is looking more and more likely.
It's really a remarkable time in college football, and I tell you, I have to agree with Kirk Herbstreit that what we're seeing from Alabama, the domination of the game that they have shown over the last several years has really been incredibly impressive. And I agree with them that we're going to look back years from now saying, remember that run that Alabama had? Put that with the greatest runs that college teams have ever had.
In a conference where we once had 2 lost teams playing for the national championship. That's how much respect the SEC gets. That is a brick thrown up by the freshman Karan Iverson. Inside Goodwin, and he'll go to the line.
Shaq Goodwin has continued to fight and to play really hard. It's awfully difficult on the road in this type of environment when you're down like this to keep concentrated on what's important, and you don't want to get out of character. Goodwin has stayed true to form. He's really stayed in there and fought. He's been on the floor diving for loose balls. But this has not been the showing that Memphis expected, certainly from their guards. They have just been dominated by the Oklahoma State guards. And it hasn't just been Marcus Smart. It's been a team effort by the backcourt of this Oklahoma State team. And that young man, Brian Williams, has had a phenomenal game. 13 points, 8 boards, couple of steals. He's been everywhere.
Shaq Goodwin becomes the first player in double figures for Memphis. And we approach the midway point of the second half. Marcus Smart was in double figures before anybody broke a sweat.
Well, Memphis has shot 35% in this game. They've settled for a lot of jumpers. And they've been searching in this second half, and it certainly hasn't been easy. They've shot under 35%.
Cobbin swoops in, and it's good to see both players for Oklahoma State that had cramping issues earlier this half get back on the floor. Markel Brown returned some time ago, but now Cobbin's back in the game also. Goodwin can't throw it down. His second opportunity also won't go. On the offensive glass hustle for Nick King in a bucket. Marcus Smart lost his footing at midcourt, but not his dribble. How good is that? Eventually, though, has his pocket picked. And back comes Goodwin. King spins. He can't score, but he'll go to the line. And he went down hard. Kamari Murphy committed the foul.
The emotions are running a little bit high. There's clearly some frustration on the part of Memphis, and just have to be a little careful as we head down the stretch. You want to keep playing hard. Good move here. You can see the foul up top by Kamari Murphy. But Shaq Goodwin trying to get over to King, and they've scouted this game. That they do something a little bit different at Oklahoma State, at least this year. That Travis Ford and his staff they've given ownership of scouting to the team. And last night after training meal, it's happened every game this year. This is the 4th time. They've done the scouting report at Marcus Smart's house, at his home, his apartment that he shared with Phil Forte. And he and the captains, they go through all the personnel, they watch film without the coaches, and then they'll do it the next day with the coaching staff. But when you have to give a scouting report, you've got to be really locked into it. You know, you're not going to be able to get through it without knowing it. And it's really shown a lot of maturity on the part of the players, and I think the coaching staff really felt like they've taken ownership of it, and the results have been fantastic. Defensively, they've been locked in. Their offense has run really smoothly. I've never heard of that happening before, but it's been really interesting. It was really interesting listening to Marcus Smart talk about it, and how he says, hey, listen, we know some of the things that these players do, some of the things that actually the coaches don't know. And we're able to share it with each other in that forum, and usually you're just sitting listening to a scouting report. He said we're more locked in when we're able to participate in it. And I thought that was really tremendous.
Shaq Goodwin committed that last foul. That's his 4th. And you mentioned the relationships that the players have that maybe the coaches aren't around for. Shaq Goodwin and Marcus Smart, 2 summers ago, were teammates on Team USA's under-18 national team. And this also an interesting shot. That it was Marcus Smart and Markel Brown who spent a long time sitting side by side watching Memphis warm up.
And just talking about their assignments, things they had to be aware of and wanted to reinforce. And you know, that's what an older team does. Now, Markel Brown's an older player. He's been around. But Marcus Smart, I'm not sure that there's a more experienced sophomore in the country with what he's been through, not only with USA basketball, he's played overseas. He's played a lot of high-level basketball, and he's got an understanding of the game that I think is beyond, certainly beyond most sophomores I've ever seen.
Markel Brown fouled on the drive by Michael Dixon. That's his 3rd. Well, Travis Ford said earlier today about Marcus Smart that he thought a big factor in his development, but also coming back this season, was his ownership of the team and the fact that they put him at point guard last year. And he almost said it as if there was some debate about whether or not they were going to play Marcus Smart the majority of last season, if at all at point guard. Maybe they envisioned him as being more of a 2 when he came here. He was so good at the point last year. I was surprised that he said that there would have even been a debate about what position he would play, but giving him the ball developed his game faster than even Travis Ford expected.
Well, it developed him also as an NBA prospect faster and made him more valuable. To have a guy of his strength and size to be able to play the point guard position, and he can guard anybody. You know, I think most people were surprised that he came back. I was. Travis Ford says that he was not, that he expected him to be back, but he left the decision. He and Marcus Smart's mother left it up to him. They said, it's your decision, it's your life. But Marcus Smart's mother, and there was a terrific article on ESPN.com by Myron Metcalf about Smart. And Mark Travis wrote a terrific article about him as well. I'd recommend both those very highly. Right on cue, he gets another steal. But his mother said, look, you're never going to be a kid again. And that's all she said about his decision.
Give him an assist on the Markel Brown triple.
Okay, Markel Brown has shown a heck of a lot of maturity himself. You know, there might be some players that might not take too kindly to being overlooked as much as he has been, because he's a really good player and would be getting a lot more acclaim were it not for the attention paid to Marcus Smart. And he has absolutely taken it in stride. You know, just like Smart, he's all about winning too.
Jaren Johnson shaken up on that held ball. The possession arrow will keep it with Memphis. Brian Williams goes to the bench as Kamari Murphy comes back on.
Well, don't you think it'll be a little bit interesting how Oklahoma State handles the success that they're having? That, you know, last year they ended the season with two losses. They lost to Oregon in the NCAA tournament. They lost to Kansas State in the Big 12 tournament. Finished third in the Big 12. And you know, Travis Ford likes to remind him, he said, listen, hey, we're highly ranked, but we haven't accomplished anything yet. We've done well, but we've been winners, but we haven't been champions.
Well, at least for tonight, that message has gotten through. As a two-shot foul is called, that will put Wilson at the free throw line. Coming up after our game, Sports Center will take over. We haven't had a sophomore phenom in our game tonight, but there are some freshman phenoms playing as we speak, so we'll see which had the biggest night. Stephen A. Smith, sit down, talk Pacers starting five and a championship quest. Kobe talks return, and you won't believe where he said it and who he said it to. Steve Levy and John Bucci-Gross will be anchoring Sports Center as soon as we're done here at Oklahoma State.
Well, there has been the question of, have the freshmen gotten too much pub? Have they gotten too much hype? My answer would be no. That I think they've lived up to it and then some. That Jabari Parker of Duke and Julius Randle of Kentucky, Andrew Wiggins of Kansas. I mean, they have absolutely lived up to it.
The floater goes for Marcus Smart, and he adds to his career high up to 34.
Really, the only question now for Travis Ford is how long do you keep him in?
Ron Iverson will go to the free throw line. Well, back to your point earlier, though, I think about Oklahoma State, and maybe tonight, in a small sample size, is evidence that they are going to play with a chip on their shoulder this year. That seemed to be something that he was worried about, that last season they came in as kind of an unheralded team, and they thought they were better than they were, and they went down to Puerto Rico and ran through that tournament and sent a message and kind of played with that chip on their shoulder all season, because didn't seem to be a lot of believers in how good they were. This year they come into the year ranked 7th. You know, the poll that just came out last week after they dominated their first few teams ranked 8th, he was worried that they might maybe be reading too many of their own press clippings.
Well, they haven't practiced as well as he would like. They certainly didn't practice particularly well yesterday. And Oklahoma State threw the ball all over the gym. And I think if when you watched him, you're thinking, geez, if they play like this tomorrow against the Memphis press, they're going to turn it over 25 times. Well, they certainly didn't. This has been a dominating performance in every way by Oklahoma State. And, well, you can't give Stevie Clark that much space. He is a scorer that is turning into a fine point guard. He's been a nice surprise, I think, for Travis Ford and his staff, the way he has embraced the point guard position, embraced being a pass-first point guard instead of a score-first point.
There's a steal for Stevie Clark. He's got trailers. He'll pull up instead and hit another three.
That's a Stevie Clark layup.
Memphis. The 2K Sports Classic at the Garden. The semifinals Thursday night, game 1 at 7 Eastern on ESPN2. Features a Boston College team off to a very slow start with a bit of an old rivalry game against number 18 UConn. And that will be followed by Indiana against Washington. The winners advance to the championship game Friday at 7 Eastern on ESPN2. Another backcourt that certainly wants to be factored in the discussion we were having earlier tonight, led by Shabazz Napier at UConn.
Well, Shabazz Napier leads. They have 4 seniors on that UConn team. They don't have 4 senior guards like Memphis does. But as an individual performer, Shabazz Napier is right up with any guard in the country. You know, if I had a last shot that I wanted a guard to take, Napier would be at the top of my list. He's just a tough competitor, puts terrific pressure on the ball, really good with the ball, can score. That has been really good for UConn this year is Niels Gafai. Well, Memphis, this is something they're going to have to bounce back from quickly because they have a difficult schedule, both non-conference and then when they get into, what is their new conference name? The AAC, right?
You know, the American.
They want to call the
Athletic
American.
Conference.
The American. For me, the American is 2 eggs scrambled, bacon, and choice of toast.
I'll join you. Markel Brown rises up. That comes up short. Marcus Smart found the loose ball, and a foul has been called. When we return, we'll take a look inside the shoot-around earlier today with Travis Ford at Oklahoma State.
And they have really done a good job in doing exactly what they wanted to do. And he echoed just over and over, let your offense score for you. Just don't improvise. Make reads off the offense and let the offense work for you. And they've certainly done that. But I think more than anything, what Oklahoma State established was a defensive identity in this game. Their defense is what got them out on the break. Their defense is what has made it difficult for Memphis to get any good looks at the basket. And that set the tone. Boy, they went after every ball, every blocked shot. Everything was contested. Very little easy for Memphis in this one.
.36 for Marcus Smart.
Really what you want to see from Memphis going down the stretch is no hanging of heads and that they keep going after it. And this game is lost. They're not going to win this game. There's no question about that. But they've got to continue to fight and set a tone for the remainder of the season. They just can't give up.
Nice job by Chris Crawford. Good hands to get the takeaway. And to finish, he has back-to-back buckets.
And Crawford's had a rough night. He's not been able to get any open look, but he's such a good defender. It may not look it in the game we've seen tonight, but Memphis has some really good on-ball defenders. And they've been taken apart in this one by Oklahoma State.
These teams are headed to Orlando in the Old Spice Classic coming up in their next round of games. And you could see Oklahoma State taking on Purdue. And there's Memphis taking on Siena. So there's a chance as they move through those brackets, we could get a rematch in Orlando on December 1st in the championship game.
Well, Memphis, if it works out that way and they wind up playing LSU. Well, LSU is a much improved basketball team under Johnny Jones. I got a chance to watch Johnny O'Bryant this summer at the LeBron James Nike Stills Academy, and he was terrific. I mean, he had some real battles with some of the guys he went up against. Noah Vonleh of Indiana. Those guys went head to head. Javante Reddick of VCU, and nobody got the best of O'Bryant. And then Jarrell Martin, the freshman, 6'8". They've got a lot of talent on that team.
Currently over on ESPN News, SportsCenter is airing, and it's coming up next here on ESPN as soon as we're done at Gallagher-Iba Arena. Shaq Goodwin hits a jumper.
He's done a good job in this game. He's got 13 points, couple steals, couple blocks, 7 or 8 rebounds. He's fought hard. Didn't get a whole lot of help.
The jump stop, and rolling it over the front of the rim is Dominic Woodson.
You can see an example. Woodson's getting in better shape to where he can get up and down the floor. But he's got really good hands and really good feet. Oklahoma State really trying to burn some clock. You got to watch out for a ball screen here off these handoffs. Here it comes.
Smart's fouled, and he'll go back to the free throw line. Dominic Woodson picks up his 4th.
So good at going after that secondary defender. You know, Marcus Smart, his game has really matured. He's not just looking to beat his man. He's looking at the secondary and tertiary defenders. But he's going to take them on.
Did you see that in his game as a freshman or as his freshman year progressed, or is that part of the development that's gotten him even early in his sophomore year to this level?
I saw more toward the end of his freshman year where he started, he's always got his head up and he sees the whole floor. I think his vision continued to improve. Going with a little zone defense now. Try to make Memphis take a little more time off the clock before launching a shot up. It didn't take long on that one.
Saved in the corner. Nope, on the end line is Woodson, so it goes back over to the Cowboys.
You know, Smart's so strong that if he can get into the lane, well, he's going to draw contact and get to the free throw line. 215 free throws last year. It's 7 a game. And he shoots a high percentage. He shot just under 80%.
Nash hit the underside of the backboard. He'll go to the line. Well, Marcus Smart is 11 of 14 from the free throw line tonight. So as much damage as he's done from the field, he's gotten to the line regularly as well.
Well, that's 2 games in a row that he shot 14 free throws. And he may not be done in this one, but 92 points with 4.5 to go. Oklahoma State, I think it's pretty clear, can score. And I think they've shown in this one that they can defend at a really high level.
Dominic Woodson is now done as he fouls out.
You know, at the top of the conference, I would put the Big 12 up with anybody. That with Kansas, Oklahoma State, I think Baylor is a really good basketball team. Now, how good, we'll see. We're going to see them in Maui, in the Maui Invitational. They've got length, size, athleticism. I'm not sure they're ready at the same level that Kansas and Oklahoma State are.
Is Iowa State a sleeper in the Big 12 again?
I think so. And having DeAndre Kane running the point, he wears number 50, transferred in from Marshall. And he's an excellent passer. One of the best passers in the country, playing for the Thundering Herd. And he obviously brought that skill with him to Ames, Iowa, because he was very good against Michigan. Well, that was a really good job in transition by Stevie Clark.
King leans in, and he'll have a chance for an old-fashioned three-point play when we return. 3:49 to go in the second half, and it has been all Oklahoma State from the start.
Yes. For 6 from the three-point line. That's inverting your offense, pulling them away from the basket, knocking down threes.
Yeah, he's a junior. The freshman, not bad. Parker, Randall, and Wiggins all in double digits in points. Double-double for Julius Randle. Back to you guys.
All right, Carl, thanks very much. And as much as those performances from the freshmen tonight have been impressive, we may have witnessed tonight the most impressive performance of the night, because this is the highest level of competition that any of these star players have faced, and Marcus Smart has put on a show.
I don't know. Frank Kaminsky was 43. He's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I would not have predicted he'd have 43. That's tremendous.
Well, Marcus Smart's got 38. On the fast break, Nichols draws another foul.
Marcus Smart has been great. I got to tell you, I was really impressed by some of the quote-unquote supporting cast of Oklahoma State. With Brian Williams from the opening tap I thought was really good. Markel Brown played a complete game. He's got 16 points in this one. 4 assists, 3 blocks. And he didn't force anything. But I thought Williams was terrific. And Kamari Murphy came in, grabbed a bunch of rebounds. I think it's 7 or 8 rebounds, a couple of blocks. Stevie Clark played a really good floor game. Now, there's a lot to like about this Oklahoma State team, and it's not all Marcus Smart. They seem to get along really well together. They communicate very well.
Off the knee of Cobbins. These things get a little sloppy at the end of a blowout, as you would expect. And Nick King is able to lay it up and in. And Travis Ford not pleased with the fact that the game has deteriorated a bit. Calls a timeout.
And won a couple of state titles in the state of Texas. And they're working on trying to get a Big 12 title and maybe even more here at Oklahoma State.
Well, their second title, it was actually Phil Forte that was the MVP of the championship game. Marcus Smart is fouled on the cut through the lane, so that will send him right back to the free throw line.
It's so hard to stop him. Just a little flex cut off of a set. They run so many really good set plays and space the floor so well. And when he's making that cut off the low block, there's no way you're going to be able to stop him. You got to jump to the ball and take away the ball side of that cut, but then he can go baseline on you. You try to get over the top of the screen, he can step back. And now that he's knocking down perimeter jumpers, it's going to be that much more difficult to defend.
The crowd knows how many he has, by the way. 2 free throws here would have gotten him to 40. As it is, he ties the Oklahoma State sophomore record for points in a game at 39. Still 3 minutes to go.
He's just shy of a record here last year at 99 steals. That tied Brooks Thompson, the freshman record, but tied the Oklahoma State record.
Soft touch from Austin Nichols.
He's going to be a good player. A good player now, but he's going to be a really good college player, perhaps even a pro. His hands are phenomenal. As he gets bigger and stronger, he's going to be able to hold his position better. He's a really, really good prospect. Got away with a push there. That was an offensive foul.
And a reach-in instead called on Nick King. So the fouls continue to pile up. And back to the free throw line goes Markel Brown. Oklahoma State will be seen often this year on ESPN, as you would expect. They already have 4 games scheduled to air on Big Monday.
And they'll travel to Norman and play Lon Kruger's Oklahoma team. They've got really good guards. Iowa State can shoot the 3. Melvin Ejim, all Big 12 candidate and the leading returning rebounder in the league. And he showed every bit of that against Michigan. He's dominated the glass.
With those teams at the top of the Big 12, there are a couple of programs in West Virginia and Texas that had terrible seasons last year, but both have been so successful. Any hope for those fan bases this year to be much more competitive?
They'll be better. I think scoring is, again, for both those teams going to be an issue. And I don't think it's a coincidence that both those coaches have spoken out about the rules emphasis this year, that you can't put your hands on the ball because they can't score. They're going to have to stop people. And one of the things about the rules, this rules emphasis this year that some people miss, not you, of course, but that some people miss, is that while you're complaining about what you can't do on the defensive end, you get the ball back and you get to score against the same defensive rules that you're complaining about. Now, the teams that can't score, then you're gonna complain about the defensive rules because you can't score or guard.
Back to the free throw line goes Nick King as Oklahoma State's a point away from the century mark.
I like the way Nick King has played in this game. There's not been a lot of positives for this Memphis team, but Nick King has been one. Just a freshman out of Memphis. He's a lefty, really strong and a versatile player that's still learning how to play. But He's really good around the rim and a really good finisher. I think he's a good rebounder as well.
It's a great freshman class that Josh Pastner has recruited. Speaking of great, curtain call for the star. He finishes the night with 39. A new career high by 11.
And he did a pretty good scouting report last night, too. Things that don't show up in the stat sheet. But everything that does, he did.
And now Markel Brown heads to the bench as well. Leighton Hammonds comes up.
Well, Markel Brown, people are going to talk rightfully so about Marcus Smart. But Markel Brown had a really good basketball game. He just played a terrific defensive game, a floor game, never forced anything. And he and Brian Williams were terrific, and it may not be noticed by many, but they were both terrific. Nice pass.
A block, though, by another freshman, Karan Iverson, as he rejected Cobbins. And the fast break works to perfection as Damian Wilson finishes it off the feet from Iverson.
Oklahoma State averaging 102 in their first 3 games. I figured they'd put up some points against Memphis. I didn't imagine they'd hang the century mark on them.
Hammonds from the corner. It's still an Oklahoma State team stuck on 99.
I round up.
You're good at math. I'm excited if this broadcasting thing doesn't work out for me. Apply for a job with the NCAA. I've been told you write a heck of a recommendation letter.
I will.
As well. I'm sure they'll read
be
it.
Very good for them. They're great people at the NCAA.
Foul that will give Oklahoma State a chance to hit 100.
This has been an impressive environment. Gallagher-Iba Arena is a wonderful place to play. And this team has dominated every aspect of this game.
It is 100 even for Oklahoma State. Christian Sager comes on, and Brian Williams.
And he should
puts Oklahoma State over the century mark and goes to the bench.
And Brian Williams should get a tremendous hand from this crowd because he played a whale of a basketball game.
15 points and 8 rebounds for Williams.
After you beat somebody, why would you chant overrated and kind of diminish your win? This team, I don't think this Memphis team is overrated. I think that Oklahoma State is rated just right.
Well, Memphis will certainly bounce back. There's too much talent for them not to. But this has to be an eye-opener for Josh Pastner and his team to be non-competitive tonight and to see Marcus Smart do to them what he did, especially in the first half.
Yeah, this is certainly going to grab the attention of every player on this Memphis roster that for some reason, and it's universal, you certainly seek clarity and listen a lot better after you've been beaten. And this team has been beaten badly by a really good Oklahoma State team.
We roll down the last 15 seconds with a turnover by Oklahoma State, and still some hustle shown by Memphis with 12 seconds to go. And Josh Pastner now waving his team away and saying it's okay to wave the white flag with 3.5 seconds to go. And the final here at Gallagher-Iba Arena, Oklahoma State dominates Memphis. In their first big test of the season, they pass it with flying colors, 101-80. Coming up next, you can stay tuned for SportsCenter. Oklahoma State stays nearly perfect against non-conference home opponents. We'll come back here to still